what's wonderful in having a director that has a very strong presence. You know, I wanted to please him. I wanted him to like it. I wanted him to like me.
One of the last pictures I made was Funny Girl. I'd never made a musical. Now I feel like the man who's done everything.
I was very fortunate to have Willie as my first director. He knew when it was right.
Hello, gorgeous.
He was wonderful because he was the audience. I just knew he knew when it was right. And he couldn't tell you how to do it differently. He would just tell you, do it again. Of course, I was fortunate. I had played the role about 1,000 times.
I didn't have to tell her how to sing a song. I didn't have to tell her how to act this part because she knew it better than I. I mean, this girl knows her stuff.
It's what the director wants the audience to see. What he feels about the people in the film, that's what's going to come out. I think Willie was proud of me. Willie wanted to show me off. That's why my performance came out as well as it did. He would ruin a lot of takes, Willie, because he would smoke and cough. The smoke would come in front of the lens, you know, and the cough would ruin the soundtrack.
They were, as Al Jolson sang in his next movie, sitting on top of the world.
And they were sitting on top of the world, the Warner Brothers. Immigrant kids giving it their all. What I like best is on their way up, they made sure that with their first monies earned, they bought their father's horseback and gave it to him for Hanukkah. Good kids. Tough businessmen. They carved out a niche for themselves in music right at the beginning, and they held on to it with the help of Ruby Keeler. Ruby sang and tap danced her way to stardom, coming out of a Ziegfeld show on Broadway into a Warner Brothers movie that seemed to be the story of her life. Ruby Keeler broke into show business as a hoofer for George M. Cohan before she was 16. She made 9 movies for Warner Brothers, starting in 1933 with 42nd Street. It was in this movie that she was inspired by Warner Baxter's famous line.
You're going out a youngster, but you've got to come back a star.
Come and meet those dancing feet. On the avenue, I'm taking you to 42nd Street.
She danced with James Cagney in Footlight Parade and sang with Dick Powell in 6 movies.
Petting in the park,
Bad boy.
petting in the dark, bad girl. What you doing, honey?
Oh, I feel so funny.
Petting in the park with you.
But her real co-star at Warner's was a Broadway choreographer named Busby Berkeley. Berkeley came to Warner's to do 42nd Street and stayed for 7 years, choosing girls for his chorus lines not only because they could dance, but because they were beautiful.
Doesn't matter. See, there are beautiful girls everywhere.
Berkeley was more than just a choreographer. He was a designer. Out of his sets, his camera angles, and his dancers, he created a dazzling array of living geometric patterns. Berkeley blew away the proscenium and altered our perceptions. We saw the world of Busby Berkeley from every conceivable angle. Berkeley was supported by the music and lyrics of Harry Warren and Al Dubin. Warren won 3 Oscars, but Berkeley never won one. But that didn't dampen Buzz's enthusiasm to create. The man who created a revolution of the eye came to a tragic and sad end because of personal crises, but not before he gave us some of the golden age's most golden moments. At that time, Warner's was the only studio without a newsreel, but still their feature films seemed to capture the events of the day. In the early 30s, they owned the gangster movie.
This is Rico speaking. Rico! R-I-C-O, Rico. Little Caesar, that's who.
His real name was Emanuel Goldenberg. For 17 years, he was a Broadway star. He hated gunfire and squinted whenever he pulled a trigger. But still, Edward G. Robinson became one of the screen's first and toughest tough guys.
Rico, are you coming out or do you want to be carried out?
In the 1930 film directed by Mervyn LeRoy, written by Francis Farrago and Robert E. Lee, Robinson delivered one of the most famous last lines in movie history.
Mother of mercy. Is this the end of Rico?
Warner Brothers men have always been tough, and their women tougher.
Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, he walks into mine. Play a tram.
I don't,
You must remember this.
Oh.
A kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fun.
Barbra Streisand, who began as a switchboard operator and a theater usherette, won a Greenwich Village nightclub contest in the early 60s and quickly established herself as one of America's leading actresses, as well as a producer and a director.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just looking.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
In 1976, she made A Star Is Born. She would also co-write its Academy Award-winning song, Evergreen.
Soft as an easy chair. Love, fresh as the morning air. You and I will make each night a first. Every day a beginning. Spirits rise, and their dances unrehearsed. They warm and excite us, 'cause we have the brightest.
When I am around him or can talk to him, I feel like I can do or be anything.
Quincy has that aura. My name is Barbra Streisand.
He would say to you, oh, you can do such a
You
thing.
just want to please him. You want to impress him.
He said, come on, Smelly, pull out one of those rock songs you got, because I told him I had something, but I didn't want to play it for
You
him.
have to communicate to the artist what kind of attitude you're looking for.
Your earphones okay?
Huh?
Your earphones okay?
Pardon?
I said, are your earphones okay?
Yeah.
We surrender to each other. They say, well, this would feel better. Great, you got it, you know. And I say, I'd like to hear you try this. And I know if you never tried it before. They say, okay, I'll try it.
That's an incredible thing when you can trust someone, can trust their musicality, can trust their artistic judgment.
You know, just open it, sucker up.
And then you can just play, you can be free.
A voice of choice used just like an instrument, so magnificent, I'm proud to present Devon Sassio, a.k.a. Sarah Vaughan. Honey, you're on.
It was really fun, inspiring fun to work with him.
He has made different artists come out with what they do.
To make that person sound better than they've ever sounded before.
Marvin just got this great job. He's going to be a rehearsal pianist for this new Broadway show.
I'm Sadie, married lady.
A friend told me a story that he was working in Doubleday's, the old bookstore on Fifth Avenue, and a woman came in and said, my son is going to be this wonderful Broadway composer. His name is Marvin Hamlisch, and right now he's a rehearsal pianist on Funny Girl. And my friend thought, yeah, Marvin Hamlisch, with a name like that, yeah, you're going to be successful. So there he was, learning from the best. Julie Stein, the composer, who had just come off Gypsy, and of course, Barbra Streisand.
I met Marvin when I was 21 years old. He was only 19. We clicked immediately. Just having him around me, was so joyous. I remember they used to send you out for coffee for people, And I said to you, can you get me some chocolate donuts? And you, of course, brought me 2. You became my best friend.
His training as a rehearsal pianist with Barbra Streisand helped him become that musician that really was such an improviser and so spontaneous and so willing to just go wherever that singer was going to go.
It was an incredible experience, seeing her in the flesh. And everybody knew there was not a question of that this woman was a star and that she had a great voice. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, if only one day Barbra Streisand would sing one of my songs, you know? And that became my dream.
Like the corners of my mind, misty watercolor memories of the way we were.
When it came time to do The Way We Were and heard his name mentioned, it was like, oh God, we have to use Marvin. He was so efficient, so competent, and he never said no. I hate the word no. I love, yes, yes, we can do that. Yes, that's possible.
The Way We Were starts out on a college campus, and they actually asked me to go to the college, and what I heard at the college were these bells. And this becomes, and then you start thinking about Barbra Streisand, and you think about those long notes that she sounds so great at.
I think it was about The Way We Were that he walked up the walk the first time. We talked about food, maybe more than we talked about music that first time. Restaurants, I remember. A lot about restaurants. He had such pleasure and joy in sitting down at the piano and writing.
And he could execute what he's thinking of.
Immediately.
Immediately. Goes right to the fingers and goes right to the keys.
Because he was so schooled in the discipline of music, he knew that the possibilities were almost endless. So if you don't like this, I got that. How about this one? We said to each other, if in the preview of the movie we don't hear at least a couple of sniffles at the end, then we've not really done our job.
At the end of the picture originally, I hardly used the theme The Way We Were until practically the last second, because my feeling was it's getting so hokey. I mean, she's going like this to Robert Redford, and he's saying blah, blah, and please, give me enough, maple syrup here. And we went to Phoenix for the first preview. And at the end of the picture just kind of died. So I called up the studio person at the time and said, I've got to redo the NQ. And they didn't want me to do the NQ over because it was going to cost about $15,000, not for me, but for the musicians. And maybe I was crazy, but I finally decided to give them back the $15,000 for my paycheck and redo that last cue because it pissed me off. I went back and redid that cue so that when she touched his hair, that blonde hair, the first thing you heard was that melody.
We heard a couple sniffles. A few handkerchiefs came out.
That's a perfect example of where his head is and where his heart is. It'd be unthinkable to him that you can improve something and that you wouldn't, because of money. That's anathema to him.
And with one song, Marvin joins the pantheon of great American songwriters with that one song. A song like that takes its place in American musical history because it becomes a template for other songs rather than relying on any template that had existed before. There are a lot of songs that you could say, hey, that reminds me of The Way We Were, but The Way We Were reminds you of no other song.
You're aiming for how the song is going to serve the film. That's the first job, is to serve that film. Anything that happens outside is gravy. In this case, there was a lot of gravy.
The way we were. A couple of wrong chords, but otherwise.
I can't think of anyone who didn't love Marvin. He was just this generous, funny, witty, brilliant person.
Make the music.